And we're back here in Wilmington, North Carolina, part of Next Gen Network's coverage of Eastern's 2013. I'm Brian Jones here with Mario Bryant, and I think we've got our best matchup of the day, North Carolina facing Wisconsin. Mario, North Carolina has been an exciting program this year, qualifying for nationals last year. What do you know about them?
You know, talking to Coach DeNardis before the game, the key for them is their defensive intensity. Since Stanford, they've focused on a lot of the little things. Their offense is in, their defense is in, but those things don't matter unless you put all of your effort in. As you can see, these guys are getting pumped up for this game. They know they've got a tall task, literally a tall task in front of them to try to knock off a very athletic Wisconsin team. It's going to come down to their will to win and their execution if North Carolina is going to come out on top today.
Players to watch in North Carolina: Christian Johnson, number 32, Tristan Green, number 1. Two very explosive players, but across the board, North Carolina is very athletic, but the other team on the other side of the field, Wisconsin Hodags, is also very athletic.
Wisconsin 2003, 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way through the present, probably continually one of the most athletic teams in the country. This year is no different. Guy to watch for Wisconsin, Coolidge. I love the way he plays defense. One of the best handler defenders that I saw last year at Nationals. I'm interested to see what kind of effect he's going to have on the game. We're going to see a spread from Wisconsin. We're going to see split stack sets. We're going to see horizontal offense. We're going to see tough man defense. This is going to be a really exciting matchup here. I'm excited for this one. No wind. Let's get it going.
Callahan nominee for Wisconsin is Brian Hart, but we're about to get started here. Wisconsin in the red, starting on defense. And we have a fan base here for the Hodags, their infamous Hodag cheer. And North Carolina will receive Geppert on the pole. And let's get started here. North Carolina all set to get going in our final game of the day. Ward for North Carolina starts things off.
That was Coolidge covering the pole for Wisconsin.
Snell with this travel call in the play, marked by number 17, Brian Hart, and their Callahan nominee. Christian Johnson here in isolation underneath the stack. Back to Snell. Still moved around, nothing available. Trying to find Johnson, finally do over the top. He has to go up to make the grab. Zorau gets it back. Moves around Foster. Justin Foster, just a freshman. Snell. Johnson floating out. North Carolina loves to move things around with their handlers and get it to Christian Johnson. Normally going to look deep right off the bat.
That opening offensive set from North Carolina, almost reminiscent of a German-style offense where you just have 3 downfield cutters just hanging out and giving one cutter a bunch of space. Eventually they got it to him, but not for that many yards and on the sideline.
Big bid by Wisconsin, doesn't come through. Zerrar gets it. Back to Snell. Miscommunication, North Carolina tries to put it deep. Foster can't quite get there. Right off the bat, Wisconsin's hard work pays off.
You might look at that and like, oh, that was a miscommunication, but that was a miscommunication dictated by the intense Hodag defense. From the pull to the middle of the field, tough handler D leads to a turnover.
Start things off now. Geppert looking deep. Meshnik is there. Makes the grab, still 15 yards to go. Flips it to Becker for the goal. Wisconsin gets a break, and we see the energy they're known for already early on in this game. 1-0, Hodag's lead.
You know, Brian, we talked earlier today about sort of the keys to the game that we're going to be consistent throughout the course of the day. One of those things was how well are teams able to score like they like to score. The way that the Hodags like to score defensively is they like to get a turnover and take a shot. Coach Valdivia calls it going for the jugular early. That's exactly what we saw there. We saw the lane cutters clear. We saw the deep shot, great throw. Nice job reeling it in. waiting for an open cutter in the end zone. 1-0, Hodag's up a break, putting the pressure on early.
Wisconsin up for the game. North Carolina has not faced too much stiff competition yet this year. They had a big lead on Pittsburgh at the Stanford Invite, and they were not able to close that game out, losing it. And then successfully after that, Coach Mike Denardis talking about how they had put all their stock into that game, immediately having played pre-quarters against Colorado, losing 13-8. North Carolina otherwise has no bad losses in the season, winning Queen City Tune-Up, their home tournament ACCs as well, going away. They won the finals in Queen City Tune-Up 15-3 over Ohio. On the other side, Wisconsin dominated warm-up. Florida Affair early on in the season in Tampa, having virtually no competitors. They slipped up a little bit at Stanford Invite, getting beat badly by Oregon, but that's their only mark on their season that's bad.
And Whitman.
That's right.
Got to give credit to Whitman. That huge victory might have been overlooked by Wisconsin.
And North Carolina gets on the board. Johnson to Zarau gets things going.
We're going to see a nice underneath cut, floating it to space, and this is a really great play by the North Carolina offensive cutter. Holds off the Wisconsin defender underneath, then at the last possible moment, creates that separation towards the back shoulder, reels it in, goes up correctly with the left hand as that disc was coming in from his right.
And we have yet to see one of the players to watch, Tristan Green. Now he's on the field, number 1. Third from the left for North Carolina. Backwards hat is going to be explosive, known for guarding handlers. And that's one of the keys against Wisconsin, is when you can shut down their deep game, but they will swing, swing, swing until it's available. Tristan Green is going to be a big part of that. It's an exciting matchup because both teams are similar in makeup, very athletic, like to throw it deep. It's strength versus strength. Who can get the job done there?
It's kind of what we saw in the Pittsburgh versus Colorado game. We saw vertical offense against vertical offense. Both teams going to be familiar with the style of offense that they see the other team running, which means that their defense is going to be ready and know what to expect.
Liu. And poaching here from from North Carolina, get things going on. Meshnik finding Liu. Camp.
Nice job by Wisconsin.
Makes the catch along the sideline. O'Neal.
Nice job by Wisconsin exposing that zone look by North Carolina and then reversing the disc. Nice flip there to Camp. But really that one starts back at the beginning of the play. When you play against junk, your goal is to not just let them fall out of it. You really want to be aggressive and attack. Once you attack and get it to a sideline, if you end up getting it back to the middle of the field, you want to reverse the disc to the other side of the field, and that's what the Hodags did there for lots of easy yards. You're going to see here, they're going to catch it in the middle of the field, right here, and then Camp does a great job, looks to the break side and gains a huge amount of yards. Nice play here to stay in bounds and make the catch. Got a little bit lucky, was looking at his feet and not the disc. But nice discipline there from the Hodag offense.
And if you're North Carolina, your job there is contain. And when Camp is able to get it on the break side, that you can't get sucked in to seeing the disc right in front of you. You've got to know to maintain that spacing where you're a few more yards off, back up, make Wisconsin continue up that sideline and try to trap them there.
Exactly. They got what they wanted for the first 3 passes. They forced them to a sideline. They dictated Wisconsin's offense over to the sideline, but then couldn't hold them there. Give credit to Wisconsin.
And play starts off again. North Carolina receiving. And Ward is going to take this one in the center of the field. We'll get a good look here of the setup North Carolina. Christian Johnson underneath isolated.
And here, if you're Wisconsin, sag those handler defenders, which they're doing. Give a little help in the middle. Get it out of the hands of that center handler, and then lock up.
Johnson's still able to get it. Now back to the handlers. Dwar looking deep for Johnson. And out in front. Toes the line. Is he in? And the observer rules him in. That's a goal. UNC ties it up at 2.
I think the defender here could have made a play if he would have just stuck with the defender. He kind of let it go over the head and then gives up here really early. And if he sticks with it, maybe sticks with the cutter, he might be able to make a play. I think he thought it was going to go out and stay out.
North Carolina so far hanging with it. Very easy for a team that's not used to being in the spotlight. You're facing Wisconsin. They go up on you 1-0. All of a sudden, your star player, Christian Johnson's not able to be as effective as he would be immediately. Kudos for North Carolina, staying mentally with it so far in this game and tying the game back up.
Hodags, normally known for their baby blue, have switched it up to the school colors, and I like that. I like that, you know, from an alumni standpoint. If I go to a tournament, I want to be able to find my team right away. I'm looking for that red. As an Ultimate fan, you might know the color of the team you're looking for, but as a casual fan, as you know, someone from Wisconsin going to an Ultimate tournament, I'm going to say, where's that red team? Where's my team?
Wisconsin still working it through. Colin Camp now looking deep and just far enough for the goal. Wisconsin able to get the strike. Camp looking deep, finding Spice.
Colin
Very
Camp,
nice in the end zone.
not known for his backhand hucking ability, but took advantage here. Nice forehand fake to set up the backhand huck to the far side. Throws it to where there is no defender. And again, the Hodag offense, excellent management of that junk defense. They attacked, they used the width of the field to create the deep shot.
Wisconsin still up 3-2 here, and so far this game has not disappointed. Quick points here, quick strikes by both squads. North Carolina both showing loose zones, trying to slow down the Wisconsin offense. Hasn't worked so far, but if you're North Carolina, are you okay with that chance? It's a disc that floated above your deep, and he nearly had a play on it.
Yeah, I'm okay with that chance, but I'm not okay with everything that happened before that chance. You know, as a defense, you want to be able to get the disc in a position that you want it in, and then keep it there and force a tough throw. Yeah, that was a tough throw, but too many easy ones before that.
Snell, Nielsen.
Nice poach there by the Wisconsin handler just to get it out of their hands.
Johnson able to get it underneath. Looking deep. Nielsen not able to come down with it, and Hart is there. Going to be another opportunity for Wisconsin.
That is just a solid play by Hart. Excellent fundamentals there in the air. Finds the defender first, finds his body, and then goes up, makes a play.
They're starting here from the sideline, inside break to Coolidge. Now back to Hart.
Coolidge.
Hart going deep. Johnson there giving chase. Coolidge able to come down with it. Flipping for the score. Wisconsin goes up 4-2.
Great job just making a play here by Coolidge against a great player in Johnson. This is vintage Wisconsin Ultimate so far, making athletic plays defensively, striking big, going for the jugular, making plays the other way as well.
If you're UNC, you've got to be disappointed in that your response here on defense has not been able to produce a turnover. 4-2 so far. Wisconsin has done exactly what they want to do, and that's the thing about Wisconsin that makes them so good. Is not that they take high-risk shots that we deem to be high risk, but they execute so well on them that they become higher percentage throws.
Yeah, it's not high risk if that's what you're trying to do. If that's your goal and you're saying, you know what, this is what we're going to do, it is high risk, but when you take shots like that, what you're doing is you're now, even if you don't convert, you're now making the other team go another 70 yards against your tenacious defense that just generated a turnover of, 30 seconds before.
Top-down philosophy Athleticism first, defense first, works across the board for Wisconsin. North Carolina looking to respond. Ward now in a different set. North Carolina comes out of vertical. Johnson gets it on the sideline. Back to Ward.
Johnson has been just having his way so far, but it's gonna take a supporting cast.
And Green launching one deep for Nethercutt. Nethercutt reeling this one in over the top. The loopy throw works for North Carolina. They stay within one.
Yeah, loopy throw, but just threw it far enough that the defender never had a play.
We see Tristan Green.
Caught Hart a bit out of sorts there with his footing. Never had a chance. Nice read. That's a tough read when you've got it just coming directly over your head, trailing. It's not an easy catch. Great concentration by the UNC receiver.
Jonathan Nethercutt there, known for being country strong. You'll see here he's also known for his spin pulls. We'll get a chance, spin flick pulls as well. North Carolina defense out in the field. Jonathan Nethercutt being set to pull. One of the main D-line handlers. Chance to get out and play on offense. UNC defense has not produced a turnover so far.
Seen a couple junk looks from UNC. Hodag's navigating the junk waters cleanly the first 2 times. Now we see man.
Wisconsin trying to get started, finding Camp underneath. And putting this one deep, liking his chances. Defenders are there. And everybody misses it except for Jordan O'Neal, who brings it in for the Hodags. 5-3, Wisconsin leads.
Colin Camp needs to go say thank you to Jordan O'Neal.
Thank you note written?
Yeah. Heartfelt thank you note. Dear Jordan, couldn't have done it without you. Love Colin.
O'Neal on the fortunate side of things, and if you're North Carolina, that's what you wanted. You had 2 defenders there. Just have to make a play on it.
Exactly. You know, when you take 2 teams like this, talked about this before as well, all things equal, it's going to come down to who can make plays. So far, it's been Wisconsin making the plays, especially in the air. You've got Hart on the deep D on the other end. You've got Coolidge reeling one in against the defender. And you've got O'Neal with a thank you note to Camp.
Alexander with a pull for Wisconsin. Centers to Ward. Johnson trying to come again under isolation. Nielsen back to Ward. Finding Johnson. No deep threat available. Foster, a late bid by Wisconsin. Alexander. Foster's going to leave on that. Let's see here. Foster's underneath. You know, it's a blind bid there. It's going to happen. There's going to be contact. There's no shot at the D.
That one's tough. I mean, if the offensive player doesn't run through, you get the block. If they do run through, you end up looking like it was a bad bid.
Snell on the sideline now. Nethercutt again playing offense. Actually coming in for Foster.
Coach DeNardis before the game said one of the things that
hammered another cut. He has 2 in a row for North Carolina. They're still within 1.
Coach DeNardis before the game said when they get tired, North Carolina tends to not move the disc well. On that point, you could see that the stall count never got higher than maybe 3 or 4, and then they got the disc in the hands of Johnson. The sure-handed, sure-throwing Johnson delivers a nice hammer.
Wisconsin up 5-4. North Carolina still staying with it.
Tell you what, Johnson looks good in this game. He's getting whatever.
U23 guy.
He's getting the disc whenever he wants. He's obviously got the throws. U23 team is going to be very tough to beat this year. We just saw Klain. We've also got guys like Dylan Freechild stepping to that team.
North Carolina keeping pace. Wisconsin still up 5-4, and we'll see Nethercutt yet again with a pull.
Still no turnovers for the Hodag offense. Style points on the pull there.
Country Strong gets it done. Liu. Cox looking deep.
And Mark might have got a piece of that disc.
And a big D from North Carolina. Nathan Warden.
Nathan Warden's going to get credit for the D here, but give half that D to the Mark as well for challenging the throw and making that throw just bendy enough that it hung and the defender made a play.
North Carolina, again, one of the few teams that can stick athletically. And so far from top to bottom even, we're seeing. Nethercutt, call on the play. Early on possessions, North Carolina was zoned. They didn't display that athleticism. Then Wisconsin had a couple of nice possessions, and North Carolina's adjusting, making this one still a game. Nethercutt, looking back for Green. Give and go. Up the line. Green can't get there. Cox is going to get the D. Liu's going to pick this one up for Wisconsin.
I was just about to say Nethercutt seems to have quite the arsenal of throws, but just got a little too cute on that upline pass.
Liu looking back. And this one's just too short on the swing pass. Going to get back to North Carolina. Now the defense is having a little bit of success.
You can see on the far sideline, the Wisconsin sideline getting involved. The entire team just shifted down to that side of the field to help the defense on the field be that eighth defender.
And Warden on the receiving end of a sweet inside break. This one's just thrown. He's gotten the D, he gets the pass. Just his meter was full.
And that's the type of decision and throw that, you know, at the end of the game, we might not be thinking about that as Colin Camp throws another one away. We might not remember like that specific turnover, but that's just an uncalled for turnover there by North Carolina. You've got two open receivers. You're trying to throw a tough inside out pass. You just can't do that.
And we might see here Colin Camp calling the foul on the Mark.
I'll tell you what, that early backhand huck that North Carolina gave up that to Colin Camp might have been a blessing in disguise that he completed it, because Colin Camp has come out firing since then.
I remember a conversation I had with a Tufts coach about how in their zone they want other teams to throw the hammer. They even wanted to complete that first one.
Yep.
Because then it's going to come right in. They're going to think they can do it again. They'll get multiple turnovers out of it. And as you said, this might work out in North Carolina's favor. Sagoff, Camp makes him dish it off. Johnson. And another turnover here. North Carolina couldn't get any of them before. Here they have 3 on this possession. Carr back to Nethercutt. Green in isolation. Lefty backhand to Green. Nethercutt. Up the line. Green. Hammer.
Nice throw.
Wide open. North Carolina breaks. 5-5. This game's all tied up.
Nethercutt's fun to watch. You don't know what throw is coming, which makes him a really tough mark. He's really long. And both of these teams have the athleticism to create some really fun plays.
We'll see here. Green. Nethercutt. Quick dish, and Green doesn't hesitate.
And that's a great fundamental to think about, is after you catch an upline pass, what the defense does downfield is they tend to shift in the direction of the upline pass, which means when you catch an upline pass, look immediately to the break side, because everyone has just shifted. Nice job there by North Carolina, catching that upline pass, looking to the far corner, just putting it to space. He had a big margin for error there on that hammer. As long as he puts it on a blade somewhere, and doesn't hang it up in the air, that's going to be a goal.
Upside down's working out for North Carolina, and now we see Christian Johnson able to come on for a D-point. Cut and green as well. But Wisconsin looking to respond. And we'll have to see how they adjust here. Wisconsin really likes their bread and butter, which is swing the disc, look for those open hucks.
That's an incredible pull. Spinning, flicking, floating.
Liu. Over to Hart. Not much available here, forced to go back. Marshall. O'Neal. Spice. And Johnson close to Hart. Back to Camp. Camp puts one deep. Another cut is there. And Wisconsin can't reel it in. Meshnik.
Classic box out there by Nethercutt. Doesn't even go up, just knows that the offensive player can't go up. Savvy play by Nethercutt so far this game. You're not going to get it. We'll let it hit the ground.
North Carolina with a chance to regain their break from earlier on and going deep for Johnson. Hart is there. Christian Johnson with the catch. I'm going to call a timeout. North Carolina with a chance to break. And we'll see if North Carolina can get their break back. This is Next Gen Network's coverage of 2013 Easterns. And we're back here in Wilmington, North Carolina, where we've got ourselves the making of a great game. North Carolina tied at 5s with Wisconsin, but we're going to take a look here at Christian Johnson just making a great play for North Carolina.
2 defenders, and one of those defenders is one of the best players in the country in Hart. Christian Johnson going up, getting nasty in the air. We're going to see Nethercutt in the backfield and isolation. Hodag defenders know that they just need to poach off of that stack in the backfield. Oh, that's too easy. Too easy.
And here we see the momentum surge in North Carolina's favor. Johnson.
Just watch this. Didn't even have to shimmy, just did exactly what they wanted to do there as for the dark side end zone set.
Green celebrating before the disc gets to him. That's how pumped up North Carolina is right now, the energy in their way. And we're going to see another timeout called here from Wisconsin trying to regroup. Momentum is such a big thing for the Hodags, I think, coming through this entire season. They have the cheers. They're always trying to stay high. The disadvantage of that is when you're trying to always run high and trying to get your energy up and achieve whatever you can do, you can go on a bit of a roller coaster. And right now, North Carolina is a team that's very similar, athletic in nature, big plays. And when they don't fall or something goes wrong where your timing's a little bit off for a couple of points, it's hard to feel it out. And so here, I think it's a great call by Wisconsin. Game's back in serve. You're not in trouble at all, but just regroup, refocus, do the things that got you there.
And you can see, as you just look at Valdivia's demeanor in the huddle there, the players always are going to respond and act the way their coach responds. You could see Coach Hector Valdivia responding, saying, hey, here's the plan. No big deal. We've been in these types of games before. Now, he's not saying that out loud, but he's saying it with his demeanor while he's giving the plan. And that's what great coaches do. If you're going to ride that roller coaster, you have to have a coach who can get you back to climb back up to the top so you can get on another run.
6-5. Once again, we're on serve. North Carolina, is this a team right now you think dark horse semis pick the Nationals?
I think that when you've got an all-star like Christian Johnson and maybe a budding star with spin pull over here.
Country strong, Jonathan Nethercutt.
I think that anything's possible. I mean, we've already seen that the parity is awesome in the Open Division this year. We've got Carleton and Oregon going down at this tournament. Both of them also lost at Stanford. You don't really know who's the number one. Pittsburgh, the returning champion, doesn't know, quite who they are yet in terms of like looking at their postseason. I'm not going to say that this team should be in semis. I'm telling you that they could be in semis because they've got great weapons.
Marshall back to Liu. And we have a side stack and a change here, but poaching from North Carolina right away. Liu, Meshnik, and call on the play.
Call on the play, but somebody got busted defensively. Still someone wide open.
Wisconsin's going to get the disc on the sideline. No mark. And we're going to restart here, but new look for Wisconsin. And North Carolina's going to settle in. Camp underneath. O'Neal just juking his man, but not available. Now looking for Hart, not available. Puts it up to Liu. Backhand flips available. And a call on the play. This one looks like a travel. Same thing we saw in the Colorado-Pittsburgh game a lot earlier today. We saw these backhand flips.
I'll tell you what, as a coach, I'm a coach. I'm also a handler defender, and I know that throw is almost, well, it's much harder to defend than the same thing on a flick force. And I just force flick a lot more than I force backhand. Same thing for the goal right here. That those throws just don't happen if you're forced forehand.
Quick flips lead to a Wisconsin goal. This game's tied back up. Good adjustments from Wisconsin lead to a side stack. A little bit different flavor of the offense. North Carolina's instinct come off is force into the stack as opposed to going with the flick force. That leads to the backhand force downfield, easy flips. Wisconsin here is proving that they're not just a team of deep throwers, but they can move it and do give and goes and quick movement.
You know what? I'm actually not a huge fan of the force into the stack mentality. What you're doing is you're assuming that these players can't break the mark if you do that. If you're forcing into the stack, that means you're allowing a gigantic around and inside out break lane with a bunch of space. To me, the weakness of a side stack is when when the disc is on the far sideline from the stack. The defense downfield knows where the disc is going to go. Why not just let it get over to that sideline, put a trap mark on, poach downfield, and make them solve a difficult situation?
Wisco's back on defense, though. This might be their bread and butter, and we'll see how North Carolina can respond after a big run. Finding Ward centered in the field. Johnson starting out in the back of the stack. Snell.
Johnson once again roasting underneath. Now sending it deep.
Now
bit of a jump ball.
And Wisconsin comes up with the D. They're going to get it back. Guerin getting a hand on it.
Can't teach height, Brian, and Guerin's got it.
Wisconsin starts off, and a sag from the North Carolina defense prevents a huck. Alexander. Stuhler-Gross. Zeman. Alexander. Wisconsin still moving it. Geppert going deep.
Nice throw from Geppert. Coolidge gonna milk this one into the end zone. The Hodag offense, something I'm noticing that they have done very, very well is that they work the field laterally, and once they work it back is when they look to strike. We saw it against the zone. They get one sideline, they bounce it to the other sideline, and then they're looking deep. We're gonna see the disc go back to the middle here. One more continuation pass. Coolidge turns the corner, and a dime from his handler. Hodag offense scoring how they want to score.
The reason this Hodag offense can work is because with the dump swing, it becomes increasingly difficult for the downfield defenders to maintain proper positioning. And you can defend very well and force in on players. However, when you switch the angle of the tack, there will always be an opening deep. That's what Wisconsin is so good at doing. They're here at 7-6, a big D-line point. UNC has to respond here or else Wisconsin's going to take 8-6.
And that's actually an adjustment that I've seen from Wisconsin, and something that I've noticed as maybe a slight area for improvement. Sometimes they're too content to just dump it back to the middle and try to jam it through the middle with their horizontal offense. I think they're much more effective when they work the continues to one sideline, bounce it back, bounce it to the other sideline, and then take shots like that.
Reversal of flow against the defense always seems to work well. Here we have Ward in his own end zone for North Carolina. The Hodag defense is ready to try to put this one to half. Foster getting underneath. Back to Ward. Johnson. Zorall. Back to Johnson. Ward. Johnson still moving it back and forth. Zorall. Fits it in, and Foster can't come down with it. Hart rushing to the disc. He's going to let this one slide to the ground.
Ooh, and North Carolina's lucky that Hart didn't pick that one up cleanly. So he had a cutter running deep, and it definitely would have gone up.
We have an injury on the field. Justin Foster's going to leave for the second time this game.
Country Strong taking his place.
Jonathan Nethercutt coming in. North Carolina had the momentum, regained the lead 6-5. Now Wisconsin looking to take half. Meshnick, call on the play.
Johnson's got crossed up there playing defense. And gotten stepped on.
Still some discussion of what's going on here of the stall count, looks like. Coming in around 6. Back for Hart. This one far out. Hart able to run it down underneath the camp. Camp to Coolidge. Hart up the line and just runs into his adjacent man. So he's going to call foul on the play.
Coolidge, nice fundamentals there. Look downfield, stall 1, stall 2, square up to your dump. Finds Hart making a nice up the line cut.
This one is for half here, so this is a pivotal possession. North Carolina really in dire straits. Hart around to camp. Calls a timeout. Wisconsin's going to take the time to discuss this and see if they can punch it in. And we'll be right back to see if North Carolina can successfully defend this end zone offense or if Wisconsin can take half. This is Next Gen Network's coverage at 2013 Easterns. And we're back here in Wilmington, North Carolina. Wisconsin Hodags up 7-6 on North Carolina, and the Hodags are looking to punch this one in. I'm Brian Jones here with Mario O'Brien. Colin Camp with the disc. 10 yards away from the end zone. Looks like Wisconsin's going to get themselves in a 4-man vertical stack with 2 men back.
Played against the Hodags a number of years ago in college, a play that I saw them run a lot. They called it the 7 play, which is a man coming out of the middle of the stack, coming out across the front. So we'll see if that's the play they look to dump. Oh, nice.
Hart's able to get the around break for the score. 8-6, Wisconsin leads. That's going to be for half.
I like that one even better. Give him a free dump. Camp does a nice job sealing out Hart with a nice around break. No mark for the easy goal. 8-6, Wisconsin.
Elemental Technologies providing all of our streaming capability today. Next Gen Network wouldn't be able to bring you all of these great games and this great action if it weren't for them. Next Gen Network, powered by Elemental Technologies. We'll be back in about 10 minutes for the conclusion of this great game. Wisconsin Hodags 8, North Carolina 6. And we're back here in Wilmington, North Carolina, bringing you second half action of North Carolina versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin, Hodag's up 8-6 on North Carolina dark side. The winner of this game will win Pool D, and the loser will have to go and play a late game tonight at 6 o'clock in pre-quarters. North Carolina is slated to play, if everything goes to seed. If North Carolina loses this game, they would face Florida. On the other side of the bracket, though, looking at Oregon and Carleton, they're going to be playing pre-quarters games, and that's a pretty big shock right now, Mario. Central Florida upsetting Carleton, and Minnesota upsetting Oregon. So Oregon and Carleton, Oregon will likely go on to face, it looks like, Stanford, an old regional rival for them, and Carleton will go on to face, it looks like, Colorado, who came back to beat Florida State 17-16, and a big win for them. And the surprise of the day is Minnesota over Oregon. And we were just talking about this earlier. Teams that we think could make semis. I think you were talking about top 4 teams, and you expected 3 out of the 4 to make it.
Yeah, that's Pittsburgh, Carleton, Oregon, Wisconsin. I expect at least 3 out of those 4 teams will make semis at nationals, and then it goes to the teams that you talk about could make it. I think we've seen one of them here today, Minnesota, could make semis. I don't think they're, as much of a lock. They'd be an outside shot, to be playing, making the top 4 at nationals. But it's not out of the question. They've got a great coaching staff. They've got great chemistry between their top players, and they've got a supporting cast that gets the job done. I'd say the same thing is true of Central Florida as well. They've got Misha Freystetter, a monstrosity downfield, and has matured this year, really able to lead that team. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them in semis either. Should they make it? I don't know if I'd go that far. Could they make it? Of course.
North Carolina returning in the second half action as we begin to that trap zone look where they're trying to force to the sideline. And Wisconsin finding the middle pass, able to beat it so far. Meshnick to Camp. He's trying to slow the pace down. Looking for Liu. Marshall. Throws the around. Liu not moving, but still works out Hart. And a forced backhand for North Carolina. Camp. Hart just so good on the back and able to try to throw high flick. Not there. Works out for North Carolina.
Just released it a little too quick. It was the right decision. Just poor execution.
Talking about the semis, North Carolina is another team too we could possibly see in there. The athleticism from them so far has been impressive.
Yeah, front to back, a very athletic team. And again, they've got some great players that can carry the load when necessary. Christian Johnson playing great today. And they've got the throwers as well to distribute the disc.
Green going deep for Carr. And a big D by Andrew Meshnick returns the disc to Wisconsin. There's not enough speed on that backhand.
And that's the type of throw that, against a lot of teams, that pass is going to work. But Wisconsin is tall and they're athletic. It's exactly why you keep guys like that on your roster. You develop those type of players. You can teach any athlete how to play ultimate, but you can't teach them how to be tall.
And so far the weather has not played a role. It's been very still out here. The sun is out. We've had a great day. Tomorrow, forecast may be different. And this one goes over the head of McAllister, but O'Neal cannot reel it in. Another cut, just throws it for Green. Can't get there.
And again, that's the type of play that you have to make against the Hodag. That's a goal. If the Hodag score this point, that's a 2-point swing because you should have scored this goal.
Camp. Back to Liu, Wisconsin in their own end zone now. Hart.
Hart, 2 turnovers already at this point. If I'm him, if I'm a coach, I'm saying, if you touch the disc, just make sure it's a 100% throw. We don't need you to take chances right now.
Camp. O'Neal looking up the line for Hart. No continuations available from Wisconsin this time. O'Neal, Liu, Spice, and Carr's on the ground.
Again, nice job by Wisconsin. Swinging to the far side of the field, throwing that fake around, hitting it back underneath.
Christian Johnson comes in to play defense here. Spice, Liu. Camp. Back to Hart. A lot of space on the open side. Camp puts it out to space. Spice rips it down. Wisconsin goes up 9-6. 2-point swing, as you said, Mario. This one
Not quite
back.
yet. Injury called before the pass. Can't tell exactly where it happened here. Colin Camp. And we got it.
Marshall Ward
Someone
comes
else
in for McAllister.
Cramping on the sideline.
Camp for the isolation. And this one is caught by Meshnik. Mark either got a tip on it or a foul, and Wisconsin now is up 9-6. 2-point swing you were talking about.
That's 2 thank you notes that Colin Camp now owes. This one I think he was going to get back anyways on a foul call.
Johnson close to getting the D, can't quite get there. Nine to 6, Wisconsin leads. North Carolina has to respond here quickly before the game gets out of hand. And looking back today, Wisconsin and North Carolina both had easy games, easy wins over Stanford and Dartmouth. Able to meet in this for the winning matchup of Pool D. Wisconsin broke to start things off 1-0. North Carolina battled back to regain the lead 6-5, and since then, Wisconsin's been on a 4-0 run.
You know, the score is relatively close right now, but there's no question in my mind that Wisconsin is outplaying North Carolina right now in almost every facet of the game. They're making more plays deep. Their defense is forcing much tougher throws. Their offensive efficiency is good. They're scoring how they want to score. North Carolina hanging in because they have some dynamic players as well, but Wisconsin is winning in the key phases.
Ward starting things off. North Carolina coming out in their vertical set once again. Johnson call on the play. Zeman giving chase on Johnson. That was a restart.
Zeman's had the assignment on Johnson the entire game. Hasn't come up with anything yet. It's certainly not making life easy for him.
Ward, Mao, Johnson. Johnson out to space. Nielsen for the goal. North Carolina gets back on the board.
That was all Johnson there. Caught a couple of different underneath passes and then the perfect throw to space.
9-7, Wisconsin leads.
You know, Zeman has had that matchup all the game, but I really don't think he's been having much of an effect. I think you've got to take someone taller, someone longer to defend Johnson. And here's why. Right now, Zeman cannot, I don't think, challenge Johnson in the air deep, which means he's afraid to just sit underneath him and challenge that throw. You take a bigger, taller, lankier player that player is going to challenge that out throw and be able to just eliminate the underneath. Johnson so far has been just catching the underneath and then distributing. You got to take that option away for the Hodags.
Johnson, though, on offense, here's the thing I've noticed. Johnson on offense is always the undercut. He has not gone deep unless it's been with the defensive line in order to make the grab when he comes on there. It seems that it has to go through Johnson on offense, and defense he gets a little bit more freedom. If you're Wisconsin, you could put someone shorter on him and go for it, because what noticed there is that North Carolina is going to throw it to Johnson. They're expecting that he's going to be fast, and if you lock in and anticipate the undercut, you can probably get one of these on them. And coming in there, physical, foul's going to be called.
Yeah, the foul's going to be called, and the right call here, if you're an observer, is that this is not a foul. You're going to see the disc is going to be. The play was made on the disc before the contact happened. Nice block there by North Carolina, and here they are on the doorstep for a goal.
And the momentum is shifting yet again. North Carolina not giving up, and this is the grittiness they need to have.
Hodag defenders need to poach off of those stackers a little bit.
And no hesitation, Nethercutt delivers.
And that is an immediate adjustment if you're the Hodag defense. Twice now we've seen the dark side offense pick up the disc near the end zone, create a triangle with those front defenders, and have everyone else in a stack, and none of them are even involved. This is obviously going to the ISO. And look at the 4 Hodag defenders not watching the disc, not helping. That's not a threat. You don't need to defend it. Defend the biggest threat near the end zone. Make them throw over the top. If they beat you, they beat you.
But right there, they already beat you, so you might as well force another decision. 9-8, Wisconsin leads. UNC hanging close here. Again, the winner of this game goes on to win Pool D. Both of these teams have enjoyed early season success and tournament wins. Wisconsin again at warm-up, winning earlier this season in Tampa. North Carolina winning both ACCs and Queen City Tune-Up in Charlotte. North Carolina absolutely dominating Queen City Tune-Up. Closest game 15-11 against Harvard, and then winning 15-4 over Ohio in the finals. Stanford, they had one real bad game. A loss to Pittsburgh 14-13 is nothing to be ashamed of, but they did lose to Colorado 13-8. See if they can add another victory to their impressive record so far. This pole's going to go out of bounds. With no wind on the field, you're just sacrificing field position right now with an out-of-bounds pole.
Here we see the junk again from North Carolina.
3-man cup, forcing it over to the backhand sideline.
Now they can't get caught watching the disc is what's happened before. Don't watch the disc. I mean, watch it, but take a peek over your shoulder to see what you're actually defending. If you're not defending anything, move.
Liu running camp. Liu. Upfield to Marshall. Liu can't hang on to it, and a D by Carr, and momentum is favoring North Carolina. Another cut. Looks off Green and makes a perplexing decision, and Wisconsin comes back. Camp to Liu, 10-8.
Well, we talked about it, Brian. The easy scores that could have been goals. We had the 2-point swing a couple points ago. Nethercutt threw that around forehand. That was kind of a blade. Receiver dropped it in the end zone. Then we're seeing a turnover like this. You have to play much cleaner ultimate against a team like Wisconsin because they're not going to give you a lot of chances. Their offense is pretty efficient. You just got to take advantage when you have the disc. Can't give away easy turnovers.
Miscommunication with the cutter, but nonetheless, you had Tristan Green, one of your better players, coming back. A quick, easy center. and get things flowing. North Carolina back on offense, only down 10-8. Kyle Geppert getting set to pull, and we see here Hector Valdivia, head coach for Wisconsin. Won their first national championship as a player back in 2003. And they've tasted the finals the last 2 years, but not been able to crack the champagne at the end of the day, losing both games, Carleton and Pittsburgh, in successive years. Nielsen back to get the disc for North Carolina. Gonna let this one sail out the back. And again, a vertical stack. Look, going away from the isolations that North Carolina had run earlier in the game. Ward looking for Snell. Coolidge, did he go up and get the D? Yes. Gonna stay with Wisconsin. Thomas Coolidge back to Hart. Geppert. Stuhler-Gross and back to Geppert once again.
Nice cut by Coolidge.
Stuhler-Gross. Hart.
Coolidge again.
And flip up to Stuhler-Gross. On the goal line, tries to fit it in. And we're gonna have no foul call here. Like the receiver just slipped up. North Carolina fortunate to get this one back. So far, both teams now missing opportunities that could have put themselves either back in the game or helped pulled away. Ward. Punting Johnson. Inside to Foster. Ward. Back to a Hodag formation. Johnson. Under the Foster. North Carolina moving it quickly. As you said, head coach DeNardis.
Nice challenge there by Coolidge. Coolidge really fighting to take away the around. Had an effect on that throw. He's not going to get credit in the stats for that block, but it was all because of him.
Wisconsin now back with the disc. Back for Geppert. Johnson coming in, can't quite get the D. Spice almost overthrows Hart. Hart rips it down. Hart putting it inside out.
Nice
flick.
throw. Bring it in, Coolidge. He deserves that one. 2 Ds, reels in the goal. Coolidge, we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, I'm telling you, this guy is one of the best defenders in the country.
Foster's got to be a little bit better there on the mark coming in for North Carolina. You can't let Hart just throw whatever he chooses in that situation.
Completely agree. You got to know that that's one of their best throwers. Catching the disc early in the count, just flash straight up for just a couple seconds. Get him thinking that you're there, even if you're not there late in the count.
Coolidge just running his man around after the turnovers. Earlier possession had it every other throw before Wisconsin would turn it on the goal line. 11-8, Wisconsin leads. Just when North Carolina looked like they were going to be back in it, Wisconsin raised their game another level. It's been impressive defense from Wisconsin, which is not unexpected from this team.
Yeah, the key stat for me when I look at these two teams and I compare them is takeaways versus turnovers that were just unforced. The Hodags have takeaways, multiple ones in this game. We've seen Ds in the air, we've seen handler Ds, we've seen pressure Ds. Dark side, not the same. The turnovers from the Hodags have been misfires or miscommunications, a couple blocks here and there, but relative to the Hodags, not as good.
Pull goes back for Green to Ward. Now in a side stack, finding Nethercutt. Johnson going deep.
This is a nice throw.
Johnson makes the grab yet again. North Carolina still in it. Now 11-9 the score.
Nick Seaman, again, no chance against Johnson. A taller defender makes that play. A taller defender also can force him out and take away all these unders. I'm not saying the Hodags don't have to change a lot, but I do think that the great teams that are going to end up in semis, like we talked about, are going to see these minute adjustments that have a gigantic effect on the way the game is played and that create more chances in the long run. And that's what I think that teams need to start focusing on, is finding those little adjustments that are going to create wins for you on the big stage.
Right there, though, what you're seeing is Nethercutt comes on from the defensive line to play offense. He adds another dimension, a deep throw. The offense typically for North Carolina is relying on Johnson to make those deep throws. That adds another dimension. North Carolina is that's an advantage there. Against the top teams, North Carolina should really take a note of this and say, we need to be more dynamic against these top teams. Maybe we should consider in those games make the adjustment with Nethercutt coming onto the line.
One of those other teams that are going to watch this footage later needs to see, hey, if we put on a defender on Christian Johnson who's the same height, there's no chance to stop anything that he's doing. We got to put some height and some length on him if we're going to limit anything that he's going to do, because Zeman's not getting the job done.
There's not many players who are going to keep up with him regardless of speed anyway. But Johnson had very good success at the club level. Broke out, in my opinion, at Chesapeake this last year in the club season for Ring, going against Ironside deep 5 times against players like Colin Mahoney. Huge deep defenders, guys that are used to guarding Bo Kittredge. Johnson is coming into his own. North Carolina still has to come back in this game if they're going to have a chance to win Pool D. Camp. Back to Liu. And flips in the air, and O'Neal takes care of it. Up the line, Liu.
See if the Hodags can use the width again. Ooh.
And
Meshnik was looking downfield before he caught the disc.
Green. Green, another cut. Ooh. Not sure about that one.
And that's a play that definitely goes against how Ultimate is supposed to be played. You know, of course there's going to be contact sometimes, but if you're going to make a bid where you are for sure going to induce contact, that is against the rules. Not only that, 0 play on the disc.
I mean, contact's going to happen, but he wasn't making a play on the disc. He
wasn't trying to avoid contact. That's the whole point.
I think that's got to be a TMF from the observer there. Here we go back to the action. Green, another cut. McAllister. Green. Green going deep. Schaffner. This one's going to float out the back. Green is the Callahan nominee this year for North Carolina. We haven't really called his name too much. We've been talking about Nethercutt and Christian Johnson. And we have a pick call in the play. So the one thing about Wisconsin is, you talked about earlier, North Carolina is not forcing the turnovers, but Wisconsin is still giving up the disc. That has to be a concern, point of interest going forward for Wisconsin for winning. And here, another unforced turnover, but Green with good pressure.
Great pressure there. Yeah, I wouldn't put that in that unforced category. Good pressure here. Now let's take a look and see if Wisconsin makes an adjustment. Guys in the back of the stack, stop looking at your guy. It's not you. Come to the front of the stack. There you go. Camp's coming up and getting involved now.
Green just with so much space to work with. Nethercutt. You can tell they have that chemistry down. North Carolina still sticking around, 11-10.
They got that chemistry, but Nethercutt just has the throws. You can cut any way you want. Just run away from your defender, and Nethercutt's going to put it in your breadbasket.
North Carolina looking for a run. They've shown poachy zones. They've tried to trap Wisconsin against the sideline. They've definitely been successful in slowing down the Hodags at points. Thanks to Elemental Technologies, Whitney O'Neill can finally watch her brother Jordan O'Neill play on the Hodags. Big shout out to Whitney for watching our streams, and big shout out to our sponsor, Next Gen Network, powered by Elemental Technologies. Ball from North Carolina. Number one's going to settle down. The defense is going to be able to set. Big advantage. Camp comes in underneath.
Now here's where I think North Carolina is doing a good job. They got him on the sideline, and then they face guarded the handler defender and forced him downfield.
And we have a call on the play. I will say this about Christian Johnson. He's still got development in his defensive game to go. He's very fast, he's very close, but he hasn't yet left his feet for the bids. And that's something where if you look at the other side, Brian Hart, definitely not afraid to go out and make the big play.
Yeah, I love Christian Johnson's game. He's shown that he can do it with the throws. He can get open underneath. He's taken the right opportunities to cut deep.
Play restarts. Hart on the sideline. Back to Meshnik. Camp. Meshnik high, keeps it in bounds. Liu. Finds Camp. Wisconsin working it towards the goal. Forced middle scheme, and Tristan Green comes up with the poach D. Give and go with another cut. Green putting it deep. Just too far for his man. Had him there. Trying to hit Skylar Kystra.
Kylstra. It's a sweet name. See, here's an opportunity to force that handler defender downfield. But the UNC defense hasn't made the adjustment on that second handler cut. You got to start recognizing patterns at this point in the game. We've seen that handler clear out upfield, and then someone from the weak side or from the middle of the field is coming back to the disc. Those are those adjustments that I'm talking about. If you see those patterns happening, if you can jump on one of them, you're going to create a high-pressure situation that can lead to a turnover.
And we'll see if Wisconsin can sort out their offensive difficulties. We'll be right back with coverage of 2013 Easterns. And we're back here in Wilmington, North Carolina for Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2013 Easterns. I'm Brian Jones with Mario O'Brien. We've got ourselves a great game. Wisconsin facing off against UNC. Wisconsin up 11-10 coming out of a timeout, trying to sort out their difficulties on offense. North Carolina trying to poach a little bit, move the disc around for Wisconsin, and we just haven't seen a deep shot from the Hodags in a while. Play restarts, finding Hart. Flipped up to Camp. Camp finding Meshnik back.
There we see it again. First handler goes downfield. Bail swing, far side.
Seems intentional in North Carolina to worry about the deep game. Meshnik is more of a cutter here. Cutters are able to provide resets. Liu.
Great pressure, though, from the handler defenders all over the field. There we see, again, clearing downfield and the bail swing.
Becker puts this one right into the middle, the heart of the defense. McAllister swats it down.
gratuitous swat.
Carr. And it's ruled quickly, no travel by the observer after a travel call from Camp. Carr inside to Johnson to Green. Another cut, releasing a flick from who knows where, and Johnson just can't reel it in. Staring at the disc, wondering how the heck that one happened.
Again, the unforced turnovers. That's the second goal that should have been a goal.
Big D.
Yeah, let Nethercutt pick up the disc here. Nice job by Nethercutt taking control. You're gonna want some isolation from Johnson, maybe get Green involved.
Nethercutt gonna be back with the disc here for North Carolina, vertical stack. They have all their weapons out in the field. Kilstra back again from Johnson, not in.
Gotta get it out of his hands. Get it back to Nethercutt. A nice stop cut. The Hodag defender knows he got beat to where he's not supposed to get beat. UNC back in the game, and let's think back here a little bit, Brian. This game could be, they could be up 2 or 3 right now if they would have caught all those goals and not had those unforced errors earlier. They've made some nice adjustments defensively that are really slowing down the Hodag offense.
Early on in the game, we talked about the end zone possession. The disc was thrown right in the middle of the field from Nethercutt, right into a poached player for the D and the turnover. North Carolina leaving chances on the table. Johnson's happy about that one, though. We've got another thank you note on the field. This one's going to come back here. Tristan Green and McAllister gets it done for North Carolina. And 11-11. You're back in the game here. North Carolina go back to a traditional D-line. Rest their players and get going. Later on this summer, we will be having the Next Gen Tour again. Tour dates will be released this Friday. Make sure you go to nextgentour.com to get all, this Tuesday. We will have the tour dates released. Make sure you go to nextgentour.com to get all the information about the best college athletes touring the country against the best top club teams.
Nethercutt with another spin pull. Nethercutt's got to be getting up there to close to 15. Got to be more than 15 out of these 22 points played for Nethercutt.
He's been an incredible player, and these pulls are just so important for the defense, making Wisconsin go more than 70 yards down the field. Cox able to pick up that one underneath. Camp. Coolidge. Alexander. Inside to Hart. Right on the goal line, quick flip. Can't hang on to it, and there's another break possibly for North Carolina. This could be the first lead of the game, 11-11. Excuse me, not first, second lead. They led 6-5 in the first half before giving that one right back. Nethercutt on the cone. Hart running straight up, back to Green. Call on the play. It looks like an injury now. I'm not sure if he got stepped on.
And we talked at the top about how similar these teams are. Here's one major difference that I see. There's one truly dynamic thrower on the field, and that's Nethercutt. And the Hodags don't have a guy like that that has multiple release points, has bombs, has short flippy throws, has it all. They don't have that type of player, and that's what North Carolina has.
Ward comes in. It's the first throw off. Chandler looking back for another cut. Finds him up line. Another cut, doesn't hesitate to Schaffner for the hammer. North Carolina moving 11-11. Now back for Ward. Ward, a mainstay handler on offense, filling in just fine for Green. And a timeout called by Nethercutt. And we'll go to a commercial break here. We'll be right back to see if North Carolina can take the lead over the Wisconsin Hodags. This is Next Gen Network's coverage of Eastern's 2013. And we're back here in Wilmington, North Carolina for our last game of the day. North Carolina University of Lee are now looking to take the lead against Wisconsin Hodags. I'm Brian Jones here with Mario O'Brien. We have Jonathan Nethercutt out of a timeout, going deep, trying to find Chandler. Goes up, can't make the catch. Contact, but no call. Would have been a huge grab for North Carolina. Said Wisconsin gets another chance, and this game's all about missed opportunities so far.
Yeah, and it's evened out. Both teams have left a bunch of goals on the table, and now the Hodags going back to their bread and butter, getting a quick turn, going for the jugular.
O'Neal with the catch from Hart. Inside out, backhand, beautiful throw. And you have Nethercutt matched up with Hart. Dynamic throw versus dynamic throw. 12-11, Wisconsin leads.
Got to get that D-line back on the field. You got to get Coolidge back on the field if you're the Hodags. He's had a great game so far. Yeah, a really great throw to space by Hart. That backhand hook floated nicely. Defender always on the receiver's back. Nice job boxing out, maintaining position, going up and making the play.
Hodags up 12-11. Late stage of this game, again, winner of this game will win Pool D. Go on and get a bye to quarters. The loser will be forced to play a pre-quarters matchup later today, likely against Florida, assuming Oregon is pulling out that game. Cheers come up from the sideline. The Hodags, sensing this game is in the late stages, trying to find the energy to put it away.
Speaking of finding the energy to put it away, Nethercutt had to take a sub on this one. Played too many points in a row.
Back to the isolation. 3 Hodags converge, can't get there. It's Johnson. Foster, this throw just too far out. Coolidge. Flip over the top to Alexander. Ruled out of bounds. And the Wisconsin sideline wants a force out, which would be an active ruling. The far observer is ruling a force out.
I'm going to take a look at it here. Looks like the observer is calling that there was a little bit of a hand on the back. There's the contact. Tough call, but I don't think they're wrong if they uphold that this was a force out. There definitely was contact.
It's actually an active call by the observer. So the only problem I would have with that call is that the far observer made it, not the one right in front of the play, who's going to have a better look at it. If it was truly a force out from the backside, it's hard to tell what that contact made. Nonetheless, Alexander with the disc.
Well, it's also hard to see if you're that corner observer. It's hard to see that hand in the back.
Geppert. This one's going back. Alexander back to Coolidge. Bump pushes Alexander back, finding Geppert. High stall situation, but a flip to Coolidge makes it easy.
Hodag's end zone offense looks really messy right now.
Coolidge going over the top. This one is out of bounds, and UNC is going to get it back. End zone for both teams is going to need work after this weekend. Missed opportunity. Both squads. Ward for Mao. Bump on the mark. Physicality starting to pick up here in the late stages of this game. Johnson can't come up with it. North Carolina trying to move the disc a little bit too quickly. Geppert. Alexander.
Nice pressure from
Rao
the dark
was
side
there.
defense.
Gets the turnover. Mizarao gets the D, and now we're back going the other way. Johnson, Mao. And contact on the throwing motion. Disc comes flying out. That's going to come back.
If I'm the dark side coach, I'm yelling for Johnson to take control. A lot of the Hodag stars are not on the field. A lot of the dark side stars are also not on the field. It's got to be Johnson's world. Nice break throw.
Continues over to Nielsen. Now. Back to Johnson. Ward. Big swing available to Johnson. Again, Zeman not able to do anything, and the around to Nielsen. Calling the play, looks like a pick. Look at here in the middle of the field at the pick call. See what happens.
Far left, top side of your screen.
Either way, it's going to be a goal for North Carolina. Tied at 12s. Looks like the observer ruling
that it was not a pick, not within 10 feet, and I would agree with that.
12-12, North Carolina in this game.
And that's a big point there for North Carolina, getting a goal without Nethercutt on the field. Christian Johnson running the show. Time winding down on this final pool play game.
Heard a horn. Next point, soft cap will go on. We'll have a game to 15. North Carolina getting set here, 12-12. First team to 3 will win this one. Liu in the middle of the field. Hart. Liu dangerously close to that sideline. Running O'Neal. Meshnik afraid of contact coming in, but another cut goes right to the hammer. And another turnover by a just perplexing decision. Had an opportunity to take control of the game. You've got Johnson on the field. You've got Green on the field. You've got your other weapons. Both teams are just going to take a look at the tail of the tape here and realize how many opportunities they left on the table.
Nice adjustment here by North Carolina, forcing them to work from the sideline.
Liu underneath to O'Neal. Quick flip to Hart. Camp. Camp looking around, forced to go back to Marshall. Calling the play. A little bit of pick call downfield. Going to maintain position and reset and get back into play. Marshall.
Nice face guard there by Nethercutt. Johnson with pressure.
On the sideline.
Here it comes. We're going to go back to the dump set here again.
Call down the field. Calling out this one by the downfield observer. And you're North Carolina to get yourself one timeout. Green on the sideline. Carr.
Yeah, get the disc to Nethercutt. Let him work. Nethercutt and Johnson.
Impressive movement to McAllister for the goal. North Carolina back on top, 13-12.
And the Hodags need to figure out this adjustment that Darkside has made. Right now, the Darkside defense is dictating the pace of the game. They're making the Hodags work from the sideline. You can see out of their set plays, they're going flat on the mark. They're sagging the handler defenders, letting them throw that disc to the sideline. Then the flat mark gets on, or a trap mark. On the flat mark side, they're face guarding the handler defenders, forcing them downfield. All of the downfield defenders are playing underneath, and that's making the Hodags either work side to side or have challenged dump throws. And on those dump throws, we've seen a couple miscommunications. We've seen a drop. We saw that last one out of bounds. And Darkside is doing a great job now capitalizing on the opportunities that they were missing early in the game.
North Carolina forcing towards the sideline. In the last play, we'll see here, ruled out by the observer, that turnover that led to a goal. Very close.
Well, it's tough to call here, and maybe something that the observers might need to talk about with the teams, because his foot was certainly on the red line, and so if you're using the red line, certainly he was out. The player, unfortunately, was thinking he was inside the white line, so he's okay.
Liu underneath the camp. Flips up to Liu. Look for Hart to make a play here. The big emotional and physical leader for the Hodags, Meshnik. Hart. And around, back to Hart. Hodags, critical possession, Hart putting it deep. Camp's able to come down with it for the score. Hart to Camp, 13-all. Hart just right down the center of the field. All North Carolina right now. Gotten to this point in the game, North Carolina has taken away what the Hodags do best, which is deep strikes. They've done that first and foremost. Then they've taken it away and made it so that the Hodags can't easily work it up the field, and they force them into the throws and just being uncomfortable. And that's a big time win for North Carolina. And if you're the Wisconsin Hodags right now, you had warm-up where you blazed through the competition. You were better than everybody. And then you ran into Oregon, Stanford Invite. Whether or not you lose this game, you've got to look back and see what adjustments you're going to make on offense to continue on. The defense is there for Wisconsin, but the execution near the end zone isn't.
The defense is there on everyone except for Johnson, and there's been no adjustment on Johnson. That's what you need to adjust right now. Put someone else on him. Because currently,
Zeman has been on for Wisconsin, and he's still there. Nielsen over to Ward. And Johnson able to get open again in the isolation offense. Trying to put this one deep, but it's underneath. Deed by Wisconsin. They're going the other way, 13-all. It's game to 15, Geppert. Cox. Geppert. And Big Bed can't quite get there, either player, and throws right into Zeman.
That's another. You were talking about it before, Brian. I think you're right. That should have been a bid by Johnson if he wants to make that play.
Geppert. Middle of the field. Wisconsin marching to the line. 13 all, this one for the lead. Back to Coolidge. A big bid, but late from North Carolina, and Wisconsin stuffs it in the end zone. 14-13, they lead.
You can't ask for much more than putting it in the hands of your best player. If you're dark side, you get it in Johnson's hands. He looks deep and just misfires on that deep shot.
14-13 Wisconsin, game point, the Hodags. North Carolina has to score 2 here to win this one regardless. We're gonna see Nethercutt come on. Tristan Green, Johnson, Universe line, and then on the Wisconsin side, we'll have to see if there's any adjustment made. Liu's coming on for the Hodags. Both teams with a timeout.
Sideline getting active here for the Hodags, sensing the kill. Geppert preparing to pull.
Running Ward, Nethercutt underneath. Johnson given space deep, and Nethercutt launches this. Johnson over Zeman again for the goal. As you said, Mario.
I wish everyone could see me shaking my head right now. That's what I wish I could see. Huge surprise. Nethercutt to Johnson deep. Undeable.
The only time it's been a turnover is when Johnson couldn't hang on to the disc himself. 14 all. This one should be for all of it if we've done our calculations correctly.
So we are 14-14, universe point here. We're gonna see all the stars for both teams on the line. There you see Nethercutt, Kristen Johnson.
North Carolina. See what Nethercutt can provide, and then for Wisconsin, we're looking at Hart.
Nethercutt unleashes one of his best of the day, a long floaty pull, 5 yards deep in the end zone.
This is centered, finding Camp underneath.
Nice flat mark with the handlers poaching.
Meshnick. Big gainer for Camp.
Pretty weak mark there by Nethercutt. Camp looking to reset.
Hard on Johnson. This is the matchup. Liu. Finding Hart. Back to Marshall. Camp. Green smartly poaches, prevents, and undercut. Now pushing it back even further, Liu.
Nice job by the dark side defense, taking away the underneaths.
Back to Liu.
Momentum shifting back to the dark side.
Finding Hart.
Nice backhand inside out.
Meshnick. And a quick pass for the goal. Splice, Wisconsin wins 15-14. North Carolina confused. Looks like what this one does look like it's over. Wisconsin going to take the win, 15-14. Able to successfully work it up against the pressure defense. And if you're North Carolina, you got to think we had this game in our hands at some point.
Yeah, you can't walk away from this game saying we got outplayed, because they didn't get outplayed. They outplayed themselves. And give them a lot of credit for making adjustments to get themselves back in the game. They made those adjustments, which increased the pressure, which led to the turnovers that the Hodags made. But I think you're right, Brian. It was in their hands. The only one you can point the finger at is yourself as a dark side team.
That ends our coverage for today. Next Gen Network bringing you all of Eastern's coverage tomorrow on Sunday of bracket play. There'll be pre-quarters for North Carolina. Wisconsin will get the rest easy for the rest of the night. I'm Brian Jones. Thanks to Mario O'Brien. Thanks to our videographers, Josh Lowell, Ian Lunger. Director Vince Bowie. Replay operator Kevin Minderhout. Executive producer Kevin Minderhout. Thanks again for tuning in to Next Gen Network's coverage of 2013 Easterns.